The Obama administration has resettled nearly 500,000 new refugees since Obama took office, according to Representative Brian Babin of Texas. The administration, he said, should not be allowed to continue to expand the refugee settlement program till the Government Accountability Office completes an audit of its costs. This is in Breitbart. In fact, refugees, unlike many other categories of immigrants, are eligible for welfare. Recent annual report to Congress from the Office of Refugee Resettlement found that 3 in 4 refugees were on food stamps. So one of the reasons the food stamps line is growing is because of refugees. His bill would halt refugee resettlement in the U.S. until they can get a GAO audit. This is Obama. And then Washington Examiner, Feds, 664,607 illegals granted amnesty, some linked to terrorism and gangs. We get story after story, and I've got them all here, of yet again illegal aliens murdering Americans. In Montana, murdering Native Americans. People barely blink. I mean, isn't our government supposed to ensure that this sort of thing doesn't happen? We have sanctuary cities where Americans are getting killed. We have open borders, people coming through here killing Americans. Now, I know Americans kill Americans too, but does that mean we open our borders to foreigners killing Americans? That seems pretty stupid, doesn't it? Barack Obama doesn't talk about any of that. You know why? These are his policies. He said any bill that comes to his desk that defunds sanctuary cities, he will veto. He's supposed to prevent it anyway because they're illegal, but he's not going to prevent it because he supports it. There's also another piece up on Breitbart. No congressional Republican leaders will support reducing immigration. Census data projects that immigration will soon exceed all documented historical records. Not one Republican leader in Congress supports the popular step of reducing immigration. Not one. The United States admits each year 1 million people with green cards, their dependents and refugees, as well as 500,000 foreign youths sought by college administrators. Now, if visas are not slashed or halted, another 14 million immigrant settlers will arrive in the United States over the next decade. This comes also out of my book, Plunder and Deceit. 14 million in the next decade. Polls from Fox News and Gallup show Americans by a 2-to-1 ratio want to see visa issuances reduced. By the millions, federal visas are shipped out to many of the poorest, least developed countries. As a consequence of this federal visa policy, today 1 in 4 Americans is either an immigrant or a child of an immigrant. Again, you can find this in Plunder and Deceit. Entire states consider California and its 55 electoral votes no longer elect Republicans. I pointed this out myself the other day. That's at least partly because so many visas have been used to bring foreign citizens who support big government. Breitbart News reached out to every single Republican leader in Congress to ask if they would be willing to support any reduction at all in the record annual dispensation of new green cards and new foreign worker visas. The congressional Republican leadership is comprised of 10 members in the Senate. McConnell, Cornyn is number 2, Thune is number 3, Barrasso's number 4, Roy Blunt's number 5. In the House, Boehner, followed by McCarthy, Scalise, Kathy McMorris Rogers, and then somebody named Luke Messer. That's 10 of them. Not one of them was willing to even reply to Breitbart's question. Not one. Every Republican leader's office refused to answer, to express any support for reduced future immigration, or to offer any thought at all on the subject. Not one of these public servants was even willing to engage on the issue of historic immigration transforming the electorate, school systems, labor markets. Because the visa dispensations are automatic, the record-breaking volume of immigration will continue ceaselessly as long as congressional leadership refuses to call forward legislation to cut back on the green cards or corporate work permits. They also reviewed public comments and records, and that reveals why Republican leaders will not publicly support any immigration reduction. The current crop of Republican leaders, the public face and private decision makers for the entire Republican Party, have argued for substantial increases to the historic intake of new immigrant labor, a policy which would cause the United States to surpass immigration records with even greater force and rapidity. Both parties, for overlapping reasons and in some cases differing reasons, both parties are intentionally destroying our immigration laws. They say our system's broken. Our system isn't broken. These people are broken. They lack virtue. They lack virtue. I ask you to do one thing when you pick up, if you pick up my book, Plunder and Deceit. Make sure you read the chapter on immigration. There's new information in there that I dug out, which is overwhelmingly supportive of the view that this is outrageous. Not just a little piece of information here. I take on all the myths, how this is a real, shot in the arm for the economy, how this creates jobs. This is the left, of course, and libertarians, not me. How it makes the country safer, and on and on and on. I address every one of them. All the lies that a majority of the maids in the country are illegal immigrants or aliens. That's a lie. A majority of the janitors cleaning toilets. That's a lie. A majority of the taxi drivers. That's a lie. A majority of the people who work on the mow the lawns and trim the trees. That's a lie. A majority of the people who do those jobs are American citizens. Did you know that? But it's a shrinking number, not because Americans won't do jobs that illegal aliens will do. It's because illegal aliens are taking these jobs and driving down wages. And yet when you listen to the Jeff Flakes and the John McCains, when you listen to the Jeb Bushes and, of course, the Democrats, it's because we, the American citizen, Americans, are lazy. Because Americans don't want to work. It's not true. And I prove it. And now you can prove it. It's simply not true. And I'm sick and tired of American politicians putting down Americans, aren't you? One of the 10 Republican leaders in the House of the Senate would get back to Breitbart about restraining immigration in this country. And I just want you to understand that historically, this has never been a nation of unrestrained, uninterrupted immigration. Never. There have been decades where there's been a trickle of immigrants, legal immigrants, coming into this country. Because every past generation has understood the importance of assimilation, the importance of Americanization. A nation has to digest these people who are coming in. They have to get used to our culture. They have to learn our language. They have to appreciate our governmental system. They have to learn about freedom. They have to learn about free market capitalism, private property rights. This is the nature of this civil society because they come from societies that are not civil. Many have left societies that are disastrous. And so it takes time. But if you immediately bring in people, year after year, decade after decade, you put them on government programs. You hire them slip and fall lawyers who say, because you're brown or black or yellow or white, whatever you are, you have special rights automatically in America. Then you have mouthpieces who set up these phony ethnic front groups who claim to speak for everybody. Then you have guys like demagogues, like Luis Gutierrez, who really serve no purpose other than to rabble-rouse. Then you have a country that's splitting apart. You have a country that's balkanized. You have a country of multiple cultures. It's one thing to have diversity under one culture. It's another thing to have diverse cultures. A society cannot remain a society. It's helter-skelter. It's chaos.